I recently had cause to look into the Lycanite mob events. Some people were saying, oh, certain events seem to spawn mobs like immediately. And I remember that they used to not do that. There was kind of like a bit of a delay. You get the warning thing, the event notification, the music's playing, the voiceover, and then they kind of spawned a little bit after. I was even showing off my old video with me and Fantomin where that was the case. So just look at this, like the event starts right here at 6:20. This is 2.7 RLCraft, if I remember right.
What? What?
Okay.
There's one. I told.
Boom, right there. It's about 7 to 8 seconds after the initial.
Ooh, try it.
We did have suggestions before about kind of doing it a little bit like Valheim, because Valheim has the mob events, which by the way they stole from me. Okay, and. And so, like, they have the little, like, text warning or the thing that's like, oh, the ground starts to shake, and then the ogres come, like, a little bit after. So we were thinking about, like, a little bit of a warning system, but I decided against that, having, like, text pop up before the event, because I like the sudden, like, shock and jarringness of the title and the music and the voiceover as the warning. Like, I just feel like that should just be the warning and, like, oh, shit's going down, it's coming right now. So, like, there was already a good, like, 7-8 second delay with the old events, but in current RLCraft, we'll do Lycanite mob event start Roots Riot. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, and we have mobs. 3 seconds. So they're definitely spawning faster. And this isn't something I guess I really realized, or anybody else for that matter, because when the change occurred, nobody had really said anything. I guess a lot of people just sort of assumed the mob events were supposed to be insane. I started playing recently, so I thought this was normal. Right, I pinged my Discord about it for the beta tester role and asked, and a lot of people said they started in 2.8.2, which is when the change occurred. In 2.8.1 and previous, it used to have that 7 to 8 second delay. In 2.8.2 and above, sometimes mobs can just spawn instantly. So let me show you exactly what is going on. This profile is 281. If we go to Roots Riot, here's the Roots Riot land spawner and the Roots Riot sky spawner. So it's got two spawners, the land spawner and the sky spawner. Now in 281, it's spawning 10 mobs after 40 seconds. Now, the reason the delay was 7 to 8 seconds when the event started is because these are always running on sort of like an interval. So this was like ticking, and it's at like the 600 tick, then the event starts. So then there's only actually a 10-second delay to the 800 mark. You know what I mean? So the delay could have been anywhere between 0 and 40 seconds, and the mob events only last for a minute. And then with the sky spawner, you have the same thing. Now, something to note is that these are not running on the same interval. These will not trigger at the same time. They're offset from each other. So you actually technically get 10 mobs every 20 seconds. So in total, you had 10 mobs in the land spawner, 10 mobs in the sky spawner, and that means a total of 20 mobs.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly true, because there's actually a possibility of a total of 30 mobs. Because if the event starts at, say, tick 200, then the spawner can spawn mobs at the 200 tick, which is the 10-second mark, and the 1000 tick, which is the 50-second mark, which would be a full 800 tick delay between the two cycles. And remember the 20-second offset. That makes sure that only one of the spawners can spawn mobs twice.
This is how it worked in 2.8.1. Now then, let's look at mob events in 2.9.2, or well, 2.8.2 and above. Current land spawner for Roots Riot and current sky spawner for Roots Riot. And we see a little bit of a change. Land spawner, minimum 2 mobs at 100% chance every 5 seconds. And with the sky spawner, a minimum of 3 mobs every 5 seconds. But remember, the tick rates are offset. They are triggering 2.5 seconds off from each other. So when Roots Riot happens at maximum, you instantly get mobs in 2.5 seconds. Which is why it feels like there's no more delay anymore, because really there kind of isn't. Not to mention, okay, but also if you're big brain and you've done the fucking math, 2 mobs every 5 seconds plus 3 mobs every 5 seconds in a 1 minute interval is 60 goddamn fucking mobs. Holy fucking shit. So basically, the number of mobs in a single event tripled. And nobody said a goddamn thing. Goddamn. No, Mara Jade, I want logs. All right? I want evidence. I didn't know it was this bad. So anyway, I'm planning to kind of rebalance this, and I could think about like, okay, do we want the really long delay and a lot of mobs at once kind of thing, or do we want kind of the new way where mobs are steadily streaming in? And Lycanite said he did change this on purpose to be more steadily streaming in mobs so that people couldn't like just sort of run away to a different area and then all the mobs spawn at once and then they just leave. I like the idea of more consistently spawning mobs like he has it now, but the number of mobs and the delay is kind of bad. So I think I'm gonna rework this. I haven't 100% figured out how. One of the other things too is that not every mob event has a land spawner and a sky spawner. Like if we look at Sharknado only has one spawner. And so usually he was splitting up the mobs like land spawner 2, sky spawner 3 to equal like 5 in total between the two spawners. But they're both at this 100 tick rate. The Sharknado spawner, he goes to 5, you know, because there's only one spawner here, but the tick rate is still 100. So the thing with this is that the mob events that only have one spawner have a longer delay because, as I said, due to the offset between the two spawners, land and sky, you're getting mobs every 2.5 seconds. Where with the Sharknado spawner, which only has one spawner, it is actually every 5 seconds. So some events are actually different because of that. Also, I noticed when going through all this, the new event, Aberrant Assimilation, instead of following the 2 and 3 mob rule, Aberrant Assimilation goes, okay, we're gonna spawn 5 and 3 for some fucking reason. So Aberrant Assimilation is already a worse event because it spawns 8 every 5 seconds instead of the 5 every 5 seconds that every other mob is set to. But this means I can tweak every single event to my liking, and if there's some mob events that are worse or harder than others, I can probably mess with the mob count, right? I kind of want to conform everything to the same tick rate. So like, you know, you always have that little bit of a delay. So if I make mob events with 2 spawners have, let's say 200 tick rate, which is 10 seconds, but because they're 2 spawners and they're offset evenly, it'll spawn mobs every 5 seconds. Mob events that only have 1 spawner, I will leave at the 100 tick rate every 5 seconds so that how often mobs are spawning between each event is the same across the board. And then I will adjust the mob count between them to kind of match a total based on the 1 minute time that mob events last for and make it not 60 fucking mobs. I was gonna say cut it in half, maybe 30, but a lot of people are used to the craziness and some people like the craziness. And others have said that if there's a delay, even if it's the same amount of mobs, it would definitely be a lot better. It's sort of the instant spawning getting fucked thing that people don't like. And I do agree, that little bit of a delay was nice, so you could kind of have time to prepare yourself, but we could lower the number of mobs because it does get a little insane. Also, I do want to show off a quick little fun bug to wrap up the video, Ulysses, because I know you're editing, okay? There was a bit of a interesting bug with certain mob events. If Shadow Games or Cinderfall ever seemed a little ridiculous, that's because those 2 specific events had a problem. Mel Dixon is the one who fixed this. I'm not big brain enough to understand the whole like deep ass Mojang Java coding underneath it. But essentially, there was an issue where Shadow Games and Cinderfall, one of their spawners is running on tick 0, which, Fonny, correct me if I'm wrong about this, one of the functions that it uses to like clear mobs or reset the timer or something is being called, gets repeated when you're in the death screen. So I will go into survival, Lycanite, mob event, start, Shadow Games. And stuff should start spawning pretty quick here, like that. I will die, and if I leave it on this screen, look, see, look at them popping up. Look at them. See them? There they go. They're just. I'll respawn and go into survival. And holy fucking shit. Yeah, this is what was happening. If you died during Shadow Games or Cinderfall, or probably some other mob events that I don't know that ran on tick 0, you got fucked. And this has just been a problem for 3 years, which, again, nobody pointed out. What am I supposed to do? Play my own game? Unbelievable. Incoming 292. This is gonna get fixed and reworked. So hopefully mob events aren't as fucking awful. Because I know there's some people who love them and hate them. Yeah.